Okay, for our final video, we'll be doing a little bit of practice and then looking at shifts in the curve and then why marginal cost is shaped the way it is. So a little ad hoc final video. So let's check this out. So you should be able to do something like this. So I'm given certain information, given my variable cost, given my total production, and then I'm given one fixed cost. I can actually figure out all the other fixed costs because fixed is fixed. It stays the same no matter what. So this is going to be 100 all the way down, all right? Because fixed cost is not going to change. And then once I have fixed costs, I can figure out total costs. Total cost is just the addition of these two, variable cost plus fixed cost. So this is going to be 100. This is going to be 110. We're going to have 116. Excuse my poor penmanship here. 121, 126, 130, 136, and then 146. And then my marginal cost is going to be change in total cost divided by change in total product. My change in total product is 1 all the way down, so I'm dividing by 1, which makes it pretty easy for me. So now I'm just looking at change, right? So I can't change from 0 to 0, right? There's nothing before 0, so that's nothing. But my change from 100 to 110 means my marginal cost for my first unit is 10. Marginal cost for a second unit is 110 to 116, so that's going to be 16. 116 to 121 is going to be 5. I'm sorry, that shouldn't be 16, that should be 6. Sorry about that. 5. 121 to 126 is also 5. 126 to 130 is 4. 130 to 136 is 6. And then 136 to 146 is 10. You should see marginal cost is going down at first, and then it stales, kind of bottoms out, and then it goes back up, right? That swoosh look that we're talking about. Now, how do I find average variable costs? I simply take my variable costs divided by my total price. So I'm just going to do the first couple because the math is too hard for me. But if you had a calculator, you could do it. So my variable cost is 10 divided by my total product, which is 1. So my average variable cost is going to be 10. My variable cost is 16 divided by 2 is going to be 8. And then 21 divided by 3 is 7, and then you can fill in the rest. How to find average fixed costs? I simply do the same thing. 100, or my fixed cost, divided by my quantity. So 100 divided by 1 is going to be 100. 100 divided by 2 is going to be 50. 100 divided by 3 is going to be 33, and on it goes. Then how do I find average total cost? It's simply the combination of the two. So 100 plus 10, 50 plus 8, and 33 plus 7. And that gives me my numbers right there. You should see that same trend. It'll go down, it'll bottom out, and then it'll go back up. Okay, so not that hard to calculate these things. Sometimes you'll see a blank missing like we did in class, and you'll have to find out what's in that blank. Okay, let's keep moving on. Next up is why does marginal cost look like it does? And the answer is because of the same reason marginal product looks the way it does, right? Marginal cost is actually a mirror image of marginal product. Here's why. When I hire the first couple of workers, I have increasing returns. And as we can see here, marginal cost is the change in total cost divided by the change in product, not by the change of workers, but the change in product. So, for example, my first one, my change in total cost is 10. My change in product is 0 to 5 is 5. So 10 divided by 5, my marginal cost is $2, right? But when I hire the next worker, I go from 30 to 40. My change in total cost is 10 still. But the additional product I get from hiring the second person is 8, right? It went up because of specialization. So 10 divided by 8, look at that, marginal cost number is actually going down as a result. And then my next one, still 10, it costs 10 extra dollars to hire the next worker. It's the same every time, but I get 6 additional units of output. So 10 divided by 6 is $1.60. Now it's starting to go back up, but not quite as high as it was before, and on it goes, right? So we have increasing returns from 1 to 2. We have decreasing returns from 8 to 1, right? or is from my third worker to my sixth worker. That's the idea. So when I plot these points out, it goes down and then goes back up because of diminishing returns. At first, I'm dividing the same change in total costs by an increasing output, increasing returns, and then a diminishing output, right? So when I divide the same total cost by an increasing output, not the denominator is getting bigger, denominator staying the same, or numerator staying the same, numerator staying the same, which means that the number is getting smaller. And then my numerator is staying the same, but my denominator is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The additional product I get is getting lower and lower and lower, which increases the cost. That is why it's a mirror image. All right, final concept, shifting curves. You might have one or two of these. The idea is you need to know that when there's a change in costs, it actually shifts our average curves, right? So let's say that our fixed costs change. Well, what are fixed costs tied to? Fixed costs are actually tied to total costs, right? And so a change in our fixed costs is going to shift AFC and ATC in the same direction. They're both going to go up. So if fixed costs go up, then my total costs are going to rise as well. So AFC and ATC are both going to rise, right? But my marginal cost is not going to be impacted because marginal cost does not change with the change in fixed costs. Fixed costs, marginal cost is looking at change in costs. Fixed costs don't change, right? So that's the idea. If fixed costs go up, then my AFC and my average total costs are going to rise as well, both in the same direction. Our fixed cost goes down, both of them are going to go down. You just draw below, like a parallel line right below it, or parallel line right above it. Variable costs, however, are tied to both total costs, because everything's tied to total costs, and also marginal costs, right? Because variable is looking at the change in cost as quantity changes, which is marginal cost change, right? So my total costs are going to change and my marginal costs are going to change. So if variable costs go up, then average variable cost is going to rise, average total cost is going to rise, and marginal cost is going to rise. Basically, everything but the fixed cost is going to change. We can see that here where we went from an AVC to AVC1, ATC to ATC1, MC to an MC1. All of them went up, and you simply draw a parallel line above it. That's all you do. And it can be up or down when we're changing it. But keep in mind what is tied to what. Fixed costs just impact your fixed costs and total costs. Variable costs impacts marginal costs, total costs, and variable costs. All right, hope that made some sense. That's the last of the video. Good luck with your studying.